the IP layer of the TCP/IP protocol to identify the connection of each device, and it is unique and universally defines the connection of a host to the router or to the internet for applications. So I think. So next, we have also seen what is address space in IPv4 version 4, which contains 32 bits, which can support more than 4 billion. We have also seen the different notations in IPv4 addressing, how binary notation is represented, dotted decimal, hexadecimal. Then we said, you have hierarchy in addressing also. That means you have the entire 32 bits divided into two parts. The first bit part is called as the prefix, the second part is called as a suffix, and you represent that as n bits as prefix and 32 minus n bits as the suffix. So the prefix part actually defines the network which is connected to the internet, and the suffix part is used for defining the connection of the host machine to the network. So these are the two parts of the IPv4 address, and hence we also say that since it is divided into two parts, you have a network and then followed by the node connection to the network. We say that it follows a hierarchy in addressing. So IPv4 address is 32 bits long, and it is unique and universal. There cannot be same two machines having the same IP address. There will be IP conflict. So address space is 2 to the power of 32 or more than 4 billion. So we have seen some of the examples of how do we convert binary to dotted decimal notation. A few examples in our last class, and also binary to dotted decimals and reverse. And in this example, we have also seen how an IPv4 address has to be represented. That means in the four parts of the IPv4 address, there should not be any leading zero. The first that case A has a leading zero in the third part, and hence it is not accepted, which is not the standard way of representing an IPv4. And in the second B, that is a case B, you can see that you should have four parts, but this has five parts, and this is not also accepted. And the case number C says that any part, the maximum is 255. So it should not cross 255, but that is 301, that is not accepted. Case D is that you cannot have an IP address as a combination of both decimal as well as binary representation, and hence the fourth case is also wrong. So next we will go for the classful addressing. The addressing type which is supported by IPv4 is of two types. One is called as classful addressing. The other one is called as classless addressing. What do you mean by classful addressing is that the prefix length is fixed here, and it can have that value. The entire IPv4 address is divided into two portions or two parts, the prefix part and the suffix part. In the prefix part, this will have a fixed length prefix. That means the value n can be equal to 8, or it can be equal to 16, or it can be equal to 24. Why do you call it as classful addressing is that the whole address space is divided into 5 classes, class A, B, C, D, and E. So how do you recognize them or identify them as respective classes? That it is called as classful addresses because the address space is divided into 5 classes A, B, C, D, and E. Then how do you identify them to be belonging to the whether it is class A, B, C, D, E? You can represent that and identify them using both the notations, either binary notation or dotted decimal notation. So if the first byte in the first byte, if the first bit is 0, then in the binary notation it indicates that it is a class A type of address. So if the first two bits in the is 10, then it identifies it is class B, and it is 110, then it is class C. If it is 1110, it is class D. All ones, it is class E. So that is how you can identify the class full addressing using these notations, either binary or dotted decimal. So in the first byte, if the first bit is 0, it is class A. If it is 10, the first two bits are 10, it is class B. If the first three bits are 110, it is class C. 4 bits, that is 1110, it is class D. The first 4 bits are all ones, it is class E. So the same thing, how do you represent in dotted decimal notation is based on this number of addresses. That means class A should have from 0 to 127. Class B will be having from 128 to 191. And class C is from 192 to 223. D is 224 to 239. Class E is 240 to 255. So class and A is given for very large organization, because if you see, it has large number of address. Your net, the first portion, the first byte indicates it is net ID. The remaining are host ID. That means you can give, so for so many host IP addresses can be given using class A. Class A is mainly meant for very large organization. Class B is meant for the medium size organization, and all small organization can use class C. And class D is for multicasting, and class E is for future use. So if you go back to this dotted decimal notation, how do you know that first byte is 0 to 127? How did you get that? Or if you take class B, 128 to 191, how do I say that it ranges from 128 to 191? I have just taken one example of class A and class B. How do you say that, or how do you convert that and say that this is class A or class B? Say for example, in class A, you know that it is from 0 to 127. Right? The range is from 0 to 127. So class A, if you refer back, it is 0 to 127. So 0 is what is it? It is 0.0.0.0 to 127.255.255.255. 0 to 127 is nothing but it is represented as 0.0.0.0, because IPv4 has 4 parts, right? So that is it is split into 4 different parts, like 32 bits. It is 4 bytes. So that is why 0 to 127 is the range of class A addresses. Why 0 to 127? The first bit, if it is 0, it indicates that it is class A. So what is the first byte range? You can have from 0.0.0.0 to 127.255.255.255. That is why it is called as 0 to 127, because it has only 8 bits. 2 to the power of no, if you take 1 minus, it is 128 is 1, 4 zeros and 4 zeros. So that is why you can have a range from 0 to 127 as the first byte. This is the meaning. See, you have class A between 0 to 127. So that means the prefix is only 8 bits. The remaining 3 bytes are used for the suffix part. So that is why it is 0 to 127. Come to class B. Wherever this ends, the next address will be from the next type of address. So here it ends at 191. So the class C address starts at 192. How do you define this range of 128 to 199, 191 for first byte? That can be shown with this example. See, in class B, first 2 bits are 1, 0. So you know that if first bit is 0, it is class A. If first 2 bits are 1, 0, then it is class B. So that means you have 2 parts here for prefix and the remaining 2 bytes for suffix. So prefix is 2 bytes, suffix is 2 bytes. That means 16 bits for prefix, 16 bits for suffix. So first byte is 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and second byte will be 0, 0, 0. That means it starts from 128.0.0.0. Now, what is the range of the first byte? The range of first byte is 1 followed by 7 zeros, and second byte and third byte will be 0, 0. And after having all zeros as the first byte, it should now start with. So what is 1 followed by 7 zeros? It is nothing but 128. That is why your second class B, that is the second type of address, has started from 128. Why is it ending at 191 is because, so now first is 128.0.0.0. The first in the first byte, The first address should start from 128 to 0.0.0 and it ends at 191. How did you get 191 is that, see, you have 10, the first two bits as 10 for class B recognition. So how do you decide upon the upper limit and the lower limit is that in the first byte, if you see 10 represents it is class B. The remaining 6 zeros are there for the starting address of the first byte. The ending address of the first byte is 10 is first two bits 10 recognizes that it is class B. In the first bit of the first or the first portion of the first byte, you have indicated 10 followed by all zeros. The last portion of the first byte should be 10 followed by all ones. That is why if you convert that into decimal value, 10 followed by 6 ones is nothing but 191. So it should, the first byte starts with 128 and ends with 191. So you start with 0 and the maximum number of addresses which it can support, each byte can support, can range from 0 to 255. That means it can support up to 256 addresses. Hence, first byte should start from 128 and it ends at 191. Meaning, first byte is nothing but first two bits indicate 10, which is class B. So followed by 6 zeros, that is the first byte of the first portion of the first byte, which is 128. And in the when you come down, if you can see here 10 followed by 6 ones. So 10 indicates it is class B. The remaining ones you have already started with zeros for the first portion of the first byte. The last portion of the first byte should be all ones. So hence it is 128 to 191. That means class B starts from 128 to 191. Similarly, you can work out like this for class C. So the class C starts from, if you see 110 represents class C. So the first portion, so you can see that from here, the class B has ended at 191. Class C should start at 192. And how is it ending at 223 is because 192, if you represent 110 followed by all zeros. And the last portion, how did you get 223 is that instead of all zeros, you retain 110 and the remaining get at 223. Similarly, all other classes. So this is how you represent the first byte of the addresses class A, B, C, D, E, which are called as classful addressing. The binary notation is easier. The moment you find 0, the first bit, it is class A. 10 indicates class B. 110 indicates class C. 1110 indicates class D. 1111 indicates it is class E. That's how you can represent classful addressing. As I said, class A is for larger organization, class B is for medium size, class C is for smaller organization. So you take this example and say with which class it belongs to. The case number A, if you see, the first bit indicates it is 0. So hence it is class A address. The first bit is 0. So this is class A address. The first bits, the next case, the first three bits, 110. So which one it is? 110 means it is class C type of address. So you have to identify the address. See, case number A, first bit is 0. So it is class A. In case number B, 110, it is class C. If you take 14, so which is the address it should come? So 0
class
to, it comes
C.
in 0
Class
to
A.
127. So it is class A address. Okay. Similarly, 252, if you take, so 252 comes in which range?
Class E.
Class
252. So it comes into class C. So by just seeing the number, either in decimal notation or in binary notation, you know that which class this particular set of addresses belong to. That's how you can identify using the previous block, which are the type of addresses allotted to the organization. So you can also represent the same classful address in this fashion like this. This is the occupation of the addresses in the address space. 50% is reserved for A, 25% B, 12.5% to C, 6.25% to D, and 6.25% of E occupies the address space of IPv4, which is 4 billion plus. And the same thing, whatever I showed the diagram, you can also represent that as class A 0, that is prefix value. The remaining 3 bytes are suffix. And in class B, 10, if it is there, it is identified as class B. This portion is prefix, 16 bits is prefix, 16 bits is suffix. In class C, it is 110. 3 bytes are prefix and 1 byte is suffix. And as I said, class D is for multicast address and class C is used for reserved purpose. The same thing we have represented here. N is equal to 8 bits because only the first byte is used for prefix, the remaining is suffix. So N value is 8 bits here. And in B, it is 2 bytes. So N value is 16 bits. In C, 3 bytes of prefix, 1 byte of suffix. So N is equal to 24 bits. And D, we don't give any prefix value because it is used for multicast purpose. And the last one, class E, is reserved for future use. So I told you how you get 0 to 127 and 128 to 191. Similar procedure you can follow for the remaining classes. And this table is just given for you to as a reference, which indicates the starting address, whatever we just discussed now. What is the starting address? What is the ending address for each of the class type A, B, C, D, E. So, but there is one problem in classful addressing. I already mentioned that class A is used for largest organization because your host ID is 3 bytes and your net ID is only 1 byte. So you can give it for larger organization where more number of host machines can be connected. And class B is also the next level of addressing. Class C is used for smaller organization. For example, if any organization takes up class A address and they don't have that many host machines to be connected, then you cannot divide the addresses at this point of time. You have to use this many addresses which are there for the class A type of address. So if her host ID is 3 bytes and 1 byte is for the 1 byte is for the host, net ID, the remaining 3 bytes is for host ID. So that means you can connect more number of host machine if you take a class A organization, class A type of address in any organization. So if the organization does not have that many machines to be connected, then you cannot give away some portion of you are wasting the addresses. So that is the problem in class A address, because you have the block size as fixed. You cannot have variable size for class A, B, C, D. The block size of addresses to be allotted for the users is fixed in the classful type of addressing. So if you have class A addresses, it can be allotted to a large organization, and each organization can connect around 16,000 plus of nodes, which may not be useful at all. So you are unnecessarily wasting the addresses which cannot be affordable, because IP addresses are very, very important. Next, same thing happens in class B also, because it's the next level of address. So, but class A, class B, there can be some wastage of addresses because the organization may not be using all the addresses. Come to class C address. I said class C address has less number of addresses, which is around 256 addresses. Suppose an organization takes a class C type of address and wants to have more number of address, more than 256 address, then it cannot just like that ask for some more addresses under class C, because class C addresses are fixed to have 256 address. Then what to do for that organization? So this problem is what is called as address depletion. So the one solution for address depletion is that either you have more address which is being wasted, or if you go for class C type of address, that may not be sufficient. The number of addresses provided by the supplier or the service provider may not be sufficient for the organization. So this is the problem of classful addressing, because the block size are fixed here. We said fixed length of prefix. You cannot change that. Hence, address depletion problem will arise in classful addressing, and hence classful addressing type of addressing became obsolete in internet world. So what is the next solution for address depletion? They went for what is called as subnetting and supernetting. So in subnetting, what they had, the organization which wanted a few number of addresses, more than 256 addresses, they took the class A address or class B block of addresses and divided into smaller blocks, and or subnetted the larger block into smaller blocks and gave it to the smaller, their sub offices or something like that. And you can also subnet your addresses to external organization also, which is not preferred by any organization. So taking a larger block of address and dividing into smaller blocks is what is called as subnetting, and giving it to smaller organization or smaller offices is what is called as subnetting. But always all organizations do not want to go for subnetting. Their other solution for address depletion is what you can use as supernetting. What do you mean by supernetting is, suppose an organization takes class C address which has a limitation of 256 address. They want more than 256 address, then they can ask for two class C address. Because class A becomes too large for them, they can, instead of using one class C address, they can opt for two class C address and club it together to form a larger block of address. This is what is called as supernetting. The difference between subnetting and supernetting is that in subnetting, you take a large block and divide into smaller blocks. Whereas in supernetting, you fetch small blocks of addresses, say for example, class C. You take, instead of one class C, you take two class C addresses, two class C blocks, and combine to get more number of addresses, which is more than 256 address. That is what is called as supernetting. But one problem with supernetting is that routing becomes complex. In subnetting, you are dividing a larger block into some smaller block, which is called as subnetting, where all organization may not prefer to have this subnetting. The other solution is go for smaller block of addresses like class C. Instead of asking for one class C, have two class C addresses and put together to have larger addresses. This is what is called as supernetting. But one problem with supernetting is routing of packets becomes more complex. So then what is the solution for this address depletion? Address depletion is what? You are actually running away out of address space, because you are wasting more number of addresses by giving a class A address or class B for an organization which do not require that many address. That is why you are wasting address and you are running out of address. This is what is called as address depletion. The solution for that is go for subnetting and supernetting. Either divide the large block into smaller blocks and give it to smaller organization, that is subnetting, or you ask for smaller blocks of addresses like class C. Instead of one, you ask for two, combine them to get more addresses, more than 256 address. This is what is supernetting. But both of them have their own limitations or disadvantage. Hence, classful type of addressing became obsolete, and the next